This is the complete guide on how to use your Tesla Model S or X to its full potential. I'm gonna go ahead and cover all the tips and tricks, hidden features, and more. So with that said, let's get started. All right, here we are, and this is the user interface. Now, these little widgets down here, or apps I should call them, they're actually fully customizable, because if you tap on this little icon, you can either tap customize, or you can actually click and drag the icons you want to actually have quicker access to, like your auto seat ventilation. You can always just click and drag it like so, and you can actually like organize them to your own personal preference. But the seats ones, they always have a dedicated spot right here to have a quick access to it right here between cool and heat, which is nice. This is disabled by default. I like to keep mine on auto, but they have a dedicated spot right here. But these two, or three I should say, I'm sorry, there's only a cap of 3, so I could either have my heated steering wheel option available right here, or I could add like a web browser or something else back here. And this little section right here will be where you'll find your recent apps that you like using. I'll go more about those apps in a little bit. Now, gesture controls, just like modern day smartphones, you do have gestures. Slide from left to right in the center of screen right here will quickly take you to your settings, as well as your control center, I guess I'll call this. And then a slide down will take you to your home navigation instead of actually tapping on navigation and tapping on your home address. And a slide right will actually be your workplace. Now, if you tap navigation, I'm going to censor this, but here you're able to set a home address or a work address. So let's go ahead and quickly just set one up real quick. It may be censored on your side due to privacy, of course. I'm going to go ahead and set this random address as my home. I'm going to go ahead and set this random address as my workplace. And now if we slide down, it'll automatically calculate the route to home, and a slide right will somehow take me to home. That's not supposed to happen, but if it does, I think over time it will then get the idea that right is work and down is home. And then if you want to change everything, you can just long press on either home, clear home, and long press on the work, clear work. But if you are setting an address and you let it to load, you could then tap this little dot icon right here to add additional stops, edit the trip, or have access to additional navigation settings, including muting the volume prompt if you like to, as well as adjust the audio, and of course automatic navigation, went away, trip planner, online routing, and you can also enable HOV lane if your vehicle is equipped with it. Don't worry, I'll try to go more into that in a little bit. But by single tapping on the screen, this will bring up this toolbar right here, which allows you to switch between satellite view or standard view. You can enable live traffic report. You can also enable key markers like stores and other sites you could explore and visit. But the little lightning bolt right here, if you tap on here, this allows you to select between the different supercharger networks available. So a single lightning bolt would be level 1. This will be like a 16 kilowatt hotel charger. And then if you tap on double lightning bolts, a 50 or 72 watt charger, or you can select level 3, and this will give you access to Tesla's 150 to 250 kilowatts. And by tapping on one, if you tap on the little number, will actually show you how many stalls are available, as well as more information. One is the max peak and one is the lowest peak, in case you were curious to know more about pricing options. So here, 32 cents per kilowatt, and it also shows you when is their busiest hours, as well as information about the which stall is out of order and such. And then you also get to see nearby anemones. Then you can either bookmark it from here as well. Pretty much self-explanatory. Well, if we end the trip, and let's say, for example, we have an address on our phone, and you don't want to input it right here using your Tesla keyboard, you can always just tap the share option and look for your Tesla. Because when you tap on it right here, this will actually send the address to your vehicle, which is much faster than having to type it in, but also can definitely save time. Because you're not in your car, you can still send the address to your car. So that's super useful. Now, if we slide to the control center, here things are really interesting. Of course, we know that this slider right here is to drive forward, park, or neutral, or reverse by sliding on the car icon. I'm not going to go into that. It's pretty much already self-explanatory. But some of the neat things you could do here is you have access to your trunk, front, charge port, as well as you could lock the car from here. You can also lock the vehicle or unlock it from this icon, and this little lightning bolt basically just tells us that our car is indeed charging and will take us to the charging section of the settings if you tap on it. That little circle with the red dot in the middle, that is your Sentry mode. You could disable it or turn it on right here. I'll show you more settings about that in a bit as well. This little icon with the little name Easy Entry, this is all personal preference, but Easy Entry basically allows you to get in and out of your vehicle easy when you put it in park. And of course, you can select your profile so your car could adjust to your own personal preference where you last left your seat settings and such. If you like to enable Easy Entry, you need to go into Driver Profile Settings, tap on your profile, and enabled Easy Entry. And then here, just follow the screen instructions on adjusting everything to your own personal preference. So you want to raise the steering wheel far up and down so it's easier for you to get in and out. Hit save and you're good to go. Now right here where it says your username, if you have other profiles like other Tesla vehicles, you can actually copy these settings from this current vehicle and set up. So now that's actually linked and set up to your Tesla profile. So now I have Easy Entry enabled. So if I purchase another vehicle, another Tesla down the line, the saved profile of my steering wheel, my seating adjustment, and everything else will all be synchronized, so I don't have to ever adjust it on other vehicles. And your profile icon is also now saved. This is a new feature that Tesla actually added and automatically updates. It's really amazing and awesome. And of course, you have valet mode as well right down here. When you put this vehicle in valet mode, you are required to enter a passcode to actually unlock it because the car is going to be limited on its acceleration, its top speed, and all that good stuff. So enter your PIN to unlock it. And in case you did forget your valet PIN, to disable it, you can always just use forgot PIN right here, which will then send you a notification to your Tesla app. So don't freak out if you forget your PIN. This applies to your glove box and all that other stuff. So if we go back over here, this is where you can actually go ahead and enable Sentry mode, or you could monitor and see if Sentry mode is indeed recording. Whenever an incident happens and you like to quickly record it, you can always just tap on it and it will actually record that setting, that recent event, so it's bookmarked on your flash drive or external drive of choice. Now, AC control, of course you can just tap on it to bring it up. You can always slide to adjust the temperature quickly right here, and you have quicker access to your windshield, ventilation, and all that good stuff. And then if you like to split it, you can always just tap split, and the other passenger could also adjust it to their own personal preference. If you tap split one more time and it grays out, it's synced automatically. Oh, and a thing I almost forgot to mention is if you long hold right here, it will actually turn off your AC and turn it back on. Then as for this gear icon, it's just this menu. It's just two options to bring it up. You can either tap on it to bring it up this way as well. Of course, you can turn off which position of events you want on or off, or all three if you like. And then this rear section allows you to actually control the rear passenger as well. If you want to turn on their heated seats, you can totally do so. As well as turn on the rear vents, the rear AC vents from here, and you could allow it to synchronize from your seats. And of course, you could tap sync to synchronize it across the entire vehicle. But I'm going to go ahead and turn off the rear seat because I don't have rear passengers. Now, the back screen of your passenger can actually be controlled right here. Tap the wake up display. Here you go actually adjust the fan for your kid if they're having a hard time reaching the display, or maybe they're a little taller and they're in their baby seat. But you could adjust everything from the display, including the audio from back here, including the seats for them. And then these little arrows right here, you could actually adjust the actual passenger seat from here as well, which is really nifty. So right here, as you can see, I'm moving the passenger seat for my rear passengers off this display if I need to. And of course, I also have media control right here. And I can also select the streaming service they like to watch their content from. So I could tap YouTube on them. The rear passengers are the only ones that are able to actually view content as you're driving. But if you like to change audio source, if they do tap on a video, you can select it right here if you want to hear what the rear passengers are hearing, or you can select the front, which means your music will only be heard. And if your passengers are acting up, you can always just lock your display. So their display in the back is actually locked. They can't use it unless you actually hit unlock from here. And then of course, right here, you have the volume control for them as well, because they can also override the audio from this screen if you actually have it unopened, but you can always lock it for them if they're misbehaving. But back in the settings, what I want to go ahead and show you is if you ever need to like control something or search for a certain setting, you're always able to search it up. It's actually really advanced. But in addition to that, it will also show you the suggestions as well right here, which I'll go more into detail on what these little different modes are. But in control, this allows you to quickly adjust the steering wheel, wipers, window lock, folding mirror, glove box. This is where you can actually select the pin for a glove box to open it. Self-explanatory. Child lock. If you tap child lock, you can actually lock both doors, or left door or right door only individually, which is really nifty. And this is basically your brightness slider. And in the near future, we will have a new blue light filter that's coming out, and it should be located right here when that software is available. Paddle and steering. Here's where you can actually select the different accelerations if you want. If you have a plaid, it will say plaid, but we are in the long range, so we only have insane mode, which is already insane. Drag strip mode, when this is enabled, it will warm up the batteries to its optimal temperature, and will also unlock launch control. Just follow the on-screen instructions to understand how launch control works, as it will put the vehicle in cheetah mode. But I'm going to go ahead and disable that because we're not racing anybody. Steering wheel mode, personal preference. I like leaving it on sport because I like feeling the road feedback, but if you like loosey-goosey, you can always tap comfort. Apply brakes for regenerative braking is limited. So if you ever charge your Tesla at 100%, it doesn't regen. But by enabling this, as soon as you let your foot off the accelerator, it will actually apply the brakes to simulate regen. This way, it doesn't catch you off guard. I personally prefer leaving that off. Auto shift to park. This allows the vehicle to actually automatically put itself into drive or reverse depending on the situation. If the front cameras detect there's a front wall in front of you, obviously the car is smart enough to know that you want to go reverse. By simply putting your foot on the brakes, it will actually automatically choose the direction, and you just apply it on the accelerator to confirm. Really nifty stuff. It works all the time for me. I love using it. Slip to start. You only want to enable this if you find yourself in a slippery environment and you're having a hard time accelerating. Enable this, it will get you unstuck in case you find yourself in a slippery environment. Suspension setting. You can either adjust the height right here of the vehicle suspension on demand, and here also shows you live data of the dampers in action. If you tap on show suspension data, this will actually show you a lot of interesting information, and if you like to, you can always tap advance and adjust it to your own personal preference, including ride comfort as well as handling. I'm not a wizard in this, so I like to keep it in sport because I like that road feedback. But you can leave it on auto or comfort. Auto actually works really well. As soon as you put your foot down and start accelerating or making sharp turns, the car will automatically put itself into sport mode. And when you're cruising on the highway, it will automatically engage comfort mode. But I prefer having the sport all the time. Use comfort damping and autopilot for those long road trips on the highway. Enable this. It will make the driving experience cruise when autopilot is engaged. Default ride height on low, personal preference, but having this enabled not only allows you to load stuff to this vehicle to become easier, but also can protect you from thieves, because it's impossible for thieves to get underneath your car to lift it to like steal your wheels or do some stuff underneath. Charging. Here's where you can actually adjust the battery percentage you want, as well as stop charging on demand or unlock charge port. And you can also see the current charging price for the current charge rate. Supercharging tip, always use these charging etiquette rule. So arrive with a minimum of 20% less to achieve maximum charging speed, and always leave space between each car. It's just courtesy basically. And autopilot settings. So here, if you don't like autopilot, you could disable the auto steer and go back to traffic aware cruise control. It'll basically behave like cruise control in any other car. Auto steer is the beta that allows you to enable autopilot, which allows the vehicle to drive by itself and keep itself in the center lane. I like leaving it there. So cruise follow distance. The number right here simulates how many vehicles will be, the car will keep length compared to the car that's in front of you. I like keeping it in 2. 2 is the lowest, but you can have it up to 7. It's just going to give you a big gap in the front, and most cars will actually try and cut in. Auto steer activation. It's a single press by default to activate autopilot, but if you like a double click to confirm, you could adjust it right here. Full self-driving visualization. This basically is the visualization display that the vehicle shows you. Basically allows you to see what the car sees in the front dash. I like leaving it on so I know exactly what the Tesla is doing. Set speed. So you can either let autopilot automatically select the speed limit when it's engaged, or you could actually change it to current speed. So once you enable autopilot at that speed, that's the speed that autopilot will resume at. So if you're going 70 miles per hour and you enable autopilot, it's going to continue going 70 miles per hour. And of course, you could adjust it with the little scroll wheel on your wheel. Speed limit, when you enter autopilot, it will follow the speed limit. So if you're going 70 and speed limit 65, it'll go down to 65. That's basically what it is. And you can always offset this too. So if you like to keep it fixed, you could do so. But if speed limit is 65 and you want autopilot to be above 5 miles per hour, that's how you can actually adjust it. I like current speed. Automatic blind spot camera. So when this is enabled, when you hit your turn signal, it will actually show you the camera preview right there of your blind spot. Super nifty, I love it. Blind spot collision warning chime. If you're changing lanes and this is enabled, the car will actually beep if there's a car on your blind spot. Keep it enabled, it's actually useful. Speed limit warning, I personally prefer seeing the warning on my display than having to actually beep at me. So, or you can have it turned off in general. Display doesn't bug me. Now for speed limit absolute or relevant, the quick example is this. If you go over the speed limit by 10, you'll get a warning. That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to the current speed limit. Now for absolute, let's say you set your absolute setting limited to 40. No matter that speed, the speed limit is 25 or 55. You'll get a warning of 40. A bit confusing, but that's the best summary I could think of. And then, of course, you could adjust the speed limit warning right here. So if you want your car to yell at you whenever you're going 131 miles per hour or more, you could adjust it right there. Or you could adjust it to irrelevant, and you can also offset it. Forward collision warning. You could either change it to be super delicate or late, personal preference, or you can have it off completely. Late works well with me. Early is too annoying. Medium also is too annoying. Lane departure avoidance. So whenever you're swerving, you can have the car either assist you to put it back in the center or just warn you by beeping at you, or have it off in general. Assisted works fine with me. The steering wheel isn't that strong, I could fight it. Personal preference. Emergency lane departure avoidance. Whenever you let your hand off the steering wheel and you don't have autopilot enabled, the vehicle will actually automatically swerve back in the center lane and beep at you. Try and keep you in the center as much as possible. For safety, I recommend leaving this on. Automatic emergency braking. This will include automatically braking to objects or civilians that's on the road. Obscure aware acceleration. Basically, this automatically limits acceleration and may apply the brakes if any obstacle is detected in front of the vehicle while driving at low speeds. I like keeping that on. Traffic awareness, cruise chime control. If you don't want it to beep at you whenever you enable autopilot, you could disable that right there. And green traffic light chime. Basically, if you're at a red light and the light turns green and you're not moving, the car will actually chime at you, so you know that it's a green light. Now in the lock settings, here is all your keys that you have. The keys that you're using, you can delete them, you can assign them to certain drivers. So if I tap on the little profile icon right here, so long as I'm selected and I tap the little icon, it'll be linked to my profile. You could link other drivers to their profile once you select it and tap the little icon of a person. And of course you can add keys as well. Shadow lock, I show you in the control center, you could actually have a quicker access to this, but this allows you to control it from here as well. Window lock, self-explanatory. Walk away door lock. If you like the capability to just walk away from your car and let the car lock itself, enable this. Auto present handles. If you have an S, your handles extract from the body. If you don't like that, you can disable that from here, which means you gotta tap on it to actually have access to your door handle. I like the auto feature. Driver door unlock mode. With this mode enabled, basically only the driver and the charge port will be unlocked when you approach your car. All the other doors will remain locked until you unlock it. Unlock on park. By enabling this, once you put your vehicle on park, it will unlock all your doors. Lock confirm sound. You could disable this or enable this, but I like hearing the horn honk at me, letting me know that the car is indeed locked. Close windows unlock. By enabling this, if you leave a window open, all your windows will automatically roll up and lock itself when the vehicle is locked. And here, car left open notification. Car left open notification. Basically, if you leave a door open, it'll send you a push notification. If you leave a door or a window open, it'll also send you a push notification on your cell phone, or you can have it off in general. I like leaving it on because sometimes my doors jam or there's something blocking the window from closing. This way I'm alerted, so I can go back and make sure what's going on and that my vehicle is locked and secure. You can also exclude your home too if you like. If you have MyQ, you could actually go into settings right here, scan this QR code and link it to your MyQ. And this allows you to have, and then home link, if you tap here, you could actually edit or add garages that you may have that's compatible with HomeLink. Majority of garage openers already have this. So my Tesla door, for example, if you actually click on it, you can actually allow it so your Tesla will automatically fold its mirror or unfold its mirror when you leave. And in addition to that, you could actually enable auto open your garage, and you can set the distance with GPS. So once you're within 70 feet, your car will actually send the signal to automatically open your garage door without you having to manually do it. You can also check mark the auto close when leaving if you like. I don't like doing that because sometimes my garage is jammed and it doesn't really send me a notification until I'm like 5 minutes away from my house. And you can reprogram it or delete it from here. You can also enable chime for auto open and auto close. Personal preference, and know that your vehicle did indeed do what it did. I'm going to go ahead and check mark that actually. Now in lights, self-explanatory. Headlights, you can leave parking lights on, or your fog lamps. Dome lights, ambient lights, you can enable it from here. Auto turn signal, you can have it off or auto cancel. With this mode enabled, whenever you change lanes and the car sees that you did that, it will automatically turn off the turn signal. This works actually really well. Recommend leaving that on. Headlights after exiting, personal preference, but if you like your headlights to remain on when you exit your vehicle, you can enable that. Display settings, you can change the mode if you want dark mode or light mode or auto, you could do so. Here you can actually get the exact percentage screen brightness, or you can select auto. Clean screen mode, when you enable this, you could basically take a microfiber cloth and clean up the screen, remove all the fingerprints without toggling any settings, and you have to hold for 3 seconds to exit. Back on here, you can change the language. I'm not going to go too much into detail there, but you can change the language on the text or the voice assistant. Time, energy display, I like keeping on distance, but you can also change the battery percentage to percentage if you don't want to see the distance. Kilometers or miles, temperature or Fahrenheit, Celsius or Fahrenheit, bars or PSI. Personal preference, your distance, your trip data, how many kilowatts you use between a trip or 2 trips or last charge. Navigation, same settings I showed you earlier. Safety is awesome. Sentry mode, you can also enable Sentry mode from here. You can also exclude home so it doesn't falsely record while your vehicle is at home and you just walk by it next to your car in the garage. Camera-based detection, whenever somebody approaches your vehicle, Sentry mode will actually begin recording. Then where it says disable Sentry mode sound, I strongly recommend leaving this on because it will play this rock and roll music at full blast whenever somebody's trying to break into your car. This is footage of what happened to me. Because of this loud sound, these thieves stopped targeting other vehicles in that parking lot and ran away because this music was just loud and really easy to get to people's attention and scared away the thieves. View live cameras via mobile app. This is the Sentry mode. I'll go more about this on your smartphone. And dash cam, I like leaving this on auto because if I honk the horn, it will automatically bookmark that event. or you can select manual or have it off entirely. Here's where you can actually reformat Sentry mode on your drive if you enter a new one or it's too full, or delete dash cam clips. Allow mobile access, leave that on. Just trust me, leave that on. Pin to drive, if you run like a Toro business, if you like to enable a PIN code that has to be entered in order for the vehicle to be driven, you can actually enable that right there. And this is the pin that you'll use to lock your glove box and treat it like a lock. If you like to set a speed limit, you can enable that right here. Cabin protection, if the interior vehicle reaches a certain temperature, 90 or 95 or 100, it'll actually turn on the AC. Make sure your cabin doesn't get baked in case you live in Arizona. Security alarm, leave that on, trust me. Parking assist chime, leave that on, trust me. Joe mode will actually lower the audio of the chimes, so if you have passengers sleeping in the background, it doesn't bombard them with like loud chime noises. I personally prefer leaving this on all the time. And of course, you could turn off the vehicle entirely right here and power it off. Other things right here is your user manual as well as your tire pressure. Software will show you the VIN number and make sure that you are on the latest version of Tesla OS. I don't know what it's called. I'm just calling it Tesla OS. And upgrades, you can see what available upgrades you can actually purchase with your Tesla. I don't have full self-driving, but I can always swipe to the subscription if I really want to and decide to buy it out if I really love it, which I personally don't. Here, Bluetooth setting, self-explanatory. You could prioritize the driver right here. So this is going to be the main phone that's always connected. If somebody else's phone is here, it's always going to be versus. And then you can also sync your contacts, sync messages, as well as enable chimes whenever someone sends you a message. Or you could forget the device entirely. And then of course you can add new devices here. Self-explanatory, I'm not going to go too much into detail on that. But on message side, if you actually tap messages, you can actually see all your messages that you receive while you're driving right here, and you can actually reply. It works really well. It refreshes every time you get out of the car. So if you get back in your car, it's empty. But if somebody would text me right here, it will actually show me a chat log right here. It's super nifty. I highly recommend it. It actually works really well. Calendars, if you actually synchronize it to your calendar app on your iPhone or Android, or Tesla app I should say, it will actually show you your calendar events right here and will actually sync really well. Favorites, contacts, information, all that good stuff. It literally is your mobile phone right here, as well as your recent calls. It works, again, really well. Now, other things in this little app category, you can find your dash cam footage here. You can actually repeat and see what events happen. This is one of the markers. The little red dot will show you the incident that you bookmarked. Works really well, allows me to retrack my steps in case something happened, and of course I could tap on the different view angles. This app is pretty much self-explanatory, but amazing. Another app is Energy Grid. This allows you to see your driving records, if you're driving efficiently or not. Park, self-explanatory. Again, calendars, this will be where you see your calendars. Messages, I already showed you. Zoom, you can actually link your Zoom and it'll actually use the camera that your vehicle has, so you can actually have Zoom calls right here. Theater, this is where you can actually view all your... Now theater, this allows you to have quicker access to not just your streaming, but you can also tap right here for arcade. You can play a bunch of games that it has installed. Some Teslas also support Steam. Toolbox, this allows you to basically customize the color of your Tesla if you like. So if I want to change my Tesla to red, it will actually update in real time. Here, let me see if I can move the camera for you. Yeah, see? It will actually update the car in real time to the color you like. And then these little icons down here are little bookmarks. So if you tap on it or tap plus, and you can actually save it. So now I have my Tesla painted in that color, and everything else, including this side, will show that the vehicle is that color now. It's really trippy and pretty cool. Super useful, I can imagine, if you vinyl wrap your Tesla. But I'm going to go ahead and select white because we are driving a white Tesla. Light show. This basically allows you to actually make your Tesla play music. If you schedule now, you can actually schedule a certain time for the vehicle to start dancing. You can select between these two different Christmas jingle songs. You can select the volume, or you can have it muted entirely if you like. And then you could even customize it too, because there's a guide on how to customize it to a certain song. I've seen people do Star Wars, and it works really well. It's really funny. But you could go into like nitty gritty stuff in that. I'm not sure I understand. But this is amazing. For the X, it'll actually open up the doors, the Falcon Wing doors. For the other Teslas, it'll actually automatically open up the tail hatch. And then Boombox allows you to play music with your external speakers or a microphone. You actually have a built-in microphone. You could actually talk to people. You sound like Megatron as a warning. You can also replace your horn with a cucaracha or other ones, and you can also preview it from here. Missions, this actually allows you to actually fart in the vehicle. You select the seat, it'll actually play a farting noise on that passenger, or you could select outside and you could actually play a fart outside. And here's the different farts you can select from. Fart on demand, you can also enable fart on turn signal, so whenever you hit your turn signal, you hear a random fart. This is actually really fun to prank your friends. Tracks allows you to create some cool beats on your Tesla screen. Romance, whenever you tap Get Cozy, it actually will turn on the heater and bake you as if you're actually around a campfire. And if you tap on it, it'll actually play mood music. Yeah, that's funny. Sketchpad, sketch. You can draw stuff. Erase, undo. You can publish it. I just don't know where it goes. You figure that part out. Mars, if you enable this, your map is now Mars. I like to typically enable this whenever I'm trying like to spoof my location so people don't know where I'm at. Enable this and you can take like social media like stuff without people tracking your location. Oh, by the way, your temperature is right here, and Jesus, it's 100. That's crazy. Santa mode. If you enable this, it will play Santa music. Or you can use the microphone and just say ho 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 and be enabled by default. And if you enable spread cheer outside, it will actually play Santa Christmas music on the outside speakers. Cowbells. I have it enabled so when it says always rainbow, this reminds me of Mario Kart, and it will actually give me a rainbow roads as I'm driving, so long as autopilot's enabled. Now, of course, you have Spotify, radio, streaming, karaoke, as well as XM radio right here on your fingertips. But I personally prefer using Apple Music because right here you can actually switch between the radio and all the other stuff right here, including Bluetooth in case you're connected to your Bluetooth. And then whenever you're listening to music, if you tap these little icons right here in this little corner right here, you can actually auto-tune the audio settings to your own personal preference. You could increase this, or you can have it on auto. I prefer having it on auto, but on the sub setting, if you actually go all the way up, there's a little Easter egg right there. I'll just say random things like slap in, burr, or even wub dub. Balance, of course, you can change that. And then active road noise reduction, recommend leaving that on. It's kind of like active noise cancellation. It works okay. And allow mobile control, which I'll go more about that in a little bit as well. And here, if you don't use Spotify, you can always disable it so it doesn't clutter up like a bunch of apps. So you have a cleaner layout. And if you don't use the radio, you can always just disable it from here. And now whenever you actually launch this, see those apps are actually gone. Give you more space, less clutter. Now, if your vehicle is ever acting funny, you can always hold down these two balls for like 3 seconds, and this will put the computer into reboot setting. You can still drive and operate the vehicle because your speedometer may be turned off, but you can still drive the car while it's rebooting, so you're not left stranded. Then if you need to manually override the direction to drive or reverse, you always just long press, and these lights will illuminate, and this will allow you to manually press park, reverse, drive, or neutral. Another thing I almost failed to mention, when this little window pops up, this allows you to have quicker access to lock your vehicle, open your trunk or frunk, but you can always slide down to get rid of it. Anything that pops up here, you can always just slide down to eliminate it or rearrange it to your own personal preference. And then you do have a web browser, but unfortunately for the web browser, there's no way to make it full screen, but you can always just move this side or side. And if you'd like to find out how you get CarPlay to work on your Tesla, there is a walk around that's pretty friendly. Video will be right there in the corner you can click on, or wait until after this video. Then in terms of AC control, if you actually long press, you can actually disable it from here. I just realized I had that on, I'm sorry. But it's really hot, it's 105, I need this. But if we put our vehicle in park, and we go back to this, you unlock 3 modes you can enable. I'm going to disable auto real quick and just turn on down the fan. You can also schedule it too, so the car always hits a certain climate automatically at the schedule you fixed. But here you can actually keep the temperature to keep at a certain rate. You can enable dog mode, which once you're out of the car, it will actually toggle this display. Or you can keep it on camp mode in case you're camping in the vehicle, which allows this car to continue staying on with the AC on, even though the vehicle is turned off. So I'm going to go ahead and enable dog mode so you have an idea how this looks like. So I simply just leave my dog inside and just walk out of the car, and the display will actually change to dog mode. It will not only show the temperature, but it also tells the people around that you'll be back, AC is on, and the interior temperature. Really nice and cute. And when you walk back in your car, it'll go back to the default setting. Now in terms of the Tesla app, I apologize for the glare, but here's a quick layout. So here you can always just tap to see the battery life percentage. If you don't want to see that, if you want to see the exact percentage, just tap, and vice versa. You can also tap right here to rename your car, and right down here will be the quick control, as well as the capability to lock or lock, turn off or turn on AC control, front. But if you actually long press, you can actually rearrange it to your own personal preferences. So you can actually have home link to be a dedicated spot if you want, or swap it with the Froster or something like that along that nature. Super helpful stuff, really interesting. Oh, and right here is the media control. So you can actually adjust anything right here off your phone. If there's a passenger inside the car, you can actually be the DJ for them even when you're not in the vehicle. Live camera mode, pretty soon we will have the ability to actually view multiple cameras at once. Right now it's not showing anything because I'm inside the vehicle, but here allows me to actually monitor the car, and if you have dog mode enabled, you can actually use the main camera on the interior. Climate control, here will actually show you like live footage of like air vent stuff enabled, the seats in their condition, as well as a quick way to open up all your windows, as well as close them or defrost the vehicle, and you can actually control the temperature right here. Locations where you can actually monitor the vehicle location. Schedule, here's where you can actually go in and adjust the departure time or the charge time. If you live in an area that has a non-peak hour, you can enable this and set the time you want the car to automatically charge each and every time, or departure for your vehicle to always be charged at a certain time. You can also enable precondition or charge off peak hour, so you don't have to rely on that. You can always just adjust it all right here. So it's easier to adjust that on the smartphone, in my opinion, than the actual main display. At the end, security and driver. This basically allows you to enable disabled Sentry mode. Use your phone as a key. Enable this. Just follow the on-screen instructions if you want to know how to set that up. Speed limit. You can also adjust speed limit from here. And if you like to add additional drivers to have access to your car, you can always tap here and it'll text them unique URL, which they can sign into their Tesla account and create one, and it will be linked to this vehicle. You can share access. Oh, and another thing, you can always manage them right here if you want to revoke them or delete them. Upgrades, of course, we got the same screen like the vehicle. Service, where you actually can contact Tesla if you have any warranty problems or parts that need to be replaced. Just tap right there and you can message the nearby service center. And roadside assistant, self-explanatory. But in controls, real quick, there's a couple things I want to show you. Here, tap here, you can monitor the PSI. It also tells you the recommended PSI right there in case you're not sure. I kind of went over, but I think it's due to the fact that the weather's changing. You can open up your front, lock the car from here, open your front, which will give you live data of your front being open and charge port. And here allows you to toggle your flashlight, honk the horn, or remotely start the car, as well as your home link right there. Now let's go in Easter eggs. Now with this handle, of course, this little button will also wirelessly open up your charge port. Just be careful not to hit it like I just did. But if you tap this button 10 times when you insert it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, this will actually turn it on so it does RGB colors, which is not doing anything. Let me try this again. There we go. Now it's doing it. So you have to press it 10 times when you insert it. So the RGB colors just do this, like, pretty cool, but unfortunately it only lasts for a couple of seconds. Another funny Easter egg is if you go into Sentry mode and your vehicle headlights will flash indicating that Sentry mode is enabled with this little microphone icon, and also fart. You can actually let the vehicle fart to scare away any thieves, or you could actually threaten them with life threatening actions. Yeah, it makes you sound like RoboCop. It's like the internal microphone in there. Another Easter egg can be found if you actually use the Tesla voice prompt. Keep summer safe. That's a little Rick and Morty Easter egg, but sensory mode is already enabled. You can also say open butthole, and this will open up the charge port. I'm not going to show it. We already know how that looks like. And if you like cool Tesla names that does cool different things, if you actually tap the Tesla icon and go into software, and where it shows you to rename your Tesla, if you enter pasty and hit save, you get this odd Easter egg of Mighty Python. And after doing that, if you actually go into this and go into toolbox and you select theater, you unlock this Mighty Python little Easter egg, which when you tap on will take you to the YouTube channel of Mighty Python. Now these next ones are not Easter eggs, but they're service modes, which is just a powerful tool that owners should at least be aware of. So if you actually go into software and you long press on the model Tesla you have, it could be the X or the S, you just keep holding until a little screen will pop up. And just let go. You'll see like a little wrinkled thing that comes up right here, and then just enter service. Tap OK. It's gonna advise you not to use this on public roads. Just hit enabled, and now it basically takes your car into service mode. Here you can find a lot of information, more about the hardware that you have, and all that good stuff about this vehicle that you're looking at, as well if it's compatible with full self-driving or not. So here you can actually toggle all the cameras, see if they're properly calibrated. I don't recommend fiddling with this unless you know what you're doing, but here you can check the stats of all your like radar detectors, sensors, making sure your vehicle actually is driving properly and connected to everything properly, and gives you a general idea where everything is located. So you can monitor the charge rates, see how your car is doing. HV system, which I have no idea what this is. Again, only use this if you know exactly what you're doing, as well as how many cells are actually charged or depleted. So right now we still have 2 cells good to go. But yeah, this stuff is really interesting. Again, I only recommend doing this if you know exactly what you're doing. But it's pretty fun seeing all this data, especially if you know what you're doing, or you're just a geek like I am, and you can see how the vehicle's operating. You can even monitor the AC unit as well, making sure your coolant and everything is working and operating optimal. Suspension check as well. You can even toggle service mode from here, as well as jack mode to safely jack up your vehicle, and you can also view your windows. And then, I know it's a lot, but this is the complete guide. If you like to adjust the height of your hatch, Model X or even the S, Y is also the same thing in some Model 3s. All you need to do is just open up your hatch, or trunk, or whatever you have. And as it opens, you want to go ahead and grab and adjust it to the height that you want. Don't worry, it's not going to break. It's made to be used to do this. And then once you're satisfied with a certain height, just go ahead and long press the back hatch and keep holding it until you hear feedback from your car. My car just beeped, and now that's a dedicated height. So now if we close it, let it close and reopen it, it's going to stop at that height that we last left it on, because we could still push it upwards, readjust the height. So yeah, that's how you could do that. That's really helpful. And there we have it, folks. For more, make sure you are subscribed.